We have ourselves a sick air compressor here. That noise in the background is a turbine engine starting. So this is over in our APU test cell in my job, but basically the compressor is not developing any pressure we're talking about. It's a V-twin compressor, as you can see, and what seems to be happening is this cylinder here is letting its air out through the inlet. So to me that says that the one of the valves is either stuck or has a problem. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop the cylinder head off and have a look. And while we're doing that one, we'll do this one as well too, if it comes off handy enough. So right now what I have is I have the isolator turned off on the wall. There's an isolator over here as well too, and that's also turned off. And there's an airline connected in the test bed to depressurize it completely. So yeah, let's get set up and have a look at this. So basically what we need to do is we need to actually take out these 4 bolts first of all, okay? And then that will allow us to take off the head. I think we'll need to crack that off as well too there. We will actually, because that's going to stop us from removing it easily. I would say it's been a long time since this compressor's gotten any sort of servicing. It doesn't really get used all that often, to be honest. Normally we have a shop air supply from a much larger compressor, which I must try and get a picture or a video of sometime. It's a beast. You can imagine how much air is required for an aircraft hangar. So yeah, anyway, let's get stuck in. So I'm actually quite surprised at how freely they came out. They're 13 millimeters, but I actually don't have any metric tools here. I've only got imperial tools to hand. I'd have to go rummaging for a metric tool kit, but I knew I was going to be able to get that. A half inch socket does the trick. Anyway, they're all cracked, so we can take them out. There's actually an air filter goes in there, so that's the air inlet. That's the air filter removed there now. I also have that hose loose there as well too. It's not a hose, it's a pipe. So yeah, we will take out those 4 bolts. So yeah, see what we're looking in here. I mean, worst case scenario, you're looking at a piston ring as in bits, or that's loose. Oh, there's loose. Get it out. We'll see what we're dealing with quick enough anyway. Need my ratchet for that one now. It's still a bit tight. Oh yeah, it's just too tight for the just too tight to remove by hand, too loose for the ratchet. But anyway, okay, it's loose now. Right, so that's all four bolts out. So need some description of tapping device to take that off. So I will go and get a hammer, a soft-faced hammer, and we'll just give it a tap and we'll take it off. Okay, the moment of truth. Alright. Oh, there goes one of the bolts. Right, so straight away, it looks like we've got a bit of debris in there, so that could be causing part of a problem. Looks like sealant actually from one of the bolts. I get so there, yeah, look at that. There's a problem. It's a bit of sealant stuck in the valve. So that valve there is obviously the inlet valve, and then this one is the I suppose you call it the exhaust valve, really. It's kind of a strange setup. We'll have a look inside in the cylinder head and see what it is we're actually looking at here. So I'll take those other 2 bolts out. So air is coming in through here, which is on this side. So it's sucked in, and then it is discharged through there. So yeah, okay, right. Look at that. I'll figure this out, and we'll bring it back. I've never actually taken a compressor apart before, so this is kind of an interesting one. The valve head, I believe, should actually come off now as well too. So this whole section should come off. And there's me after ruining the head gasket. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, look, let's get those. We'll get those screws out and we'll take the valve out and see how we're looking. But I think that'll actually solve our problem if we just get that little bit of sealant out. We might not even go any further. A handy little fix, actually. Okay, all becomes clear now. Anyway, so let's see. There's so that's your outlet valve. So this is where the air comes in as the piston moves down. There's actually another valve like this on the other side of the valve head here. And as the piston moves down, it sucks the air in, and as it's coming back up, it closes this because it just pushes it closed from air pressure, and pushes the air out through these ports here. So yeah, look, I'm going to take this off anyway, and we'll get that cleaned out. But I'm going to actually take the valve head off anyway as well too, because I just want to make sure there's no more gack or anything stuck in there. Right, okay, so I have the valve out and I need to clean up that face there. I'm going to make another attempt at explaining this a little bit better as to how this actually works. So piston moves down, air gets sucked in through the inlet into here, okay? Because that valve can now open under the suction of the piston. Piston's moving up, that's closed, and the air's getting pushed out through these two ports into this area of the head here, and then out through the outlet here. And it goes over to join up with the other piston over here, and then it goes off down into the tank. And so yeah, basically that's that. It's pretty straightforward stuff actually. So you've inlet and exhaust strokes basically. So right, I have I'm gonna give them a clean, and I'm gonna just maybe pop off the valve head as well too, and we'll see how we're looking there as well too. Not looking good, folks. Look at the state at the top of the piston. Okay, right now, you ready for this? I have that off. That wasn't our problem. It was maybe causing part of the problem, but it's not the main problem. The main problem is this. The end is after breaking off the valve on this side. So what we need to do is we need to get a new strip of metal. It'll have to be spring steel, and make a new one of these. Yeah. And then once we do that, then it should work all right. But do you know what? I think it might be worth just popping the head off the other side as well too. I mean, for the sake of 4 bolts, it's probably a silly thing not to do that. Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame that that's wrong with it anyway. But I was hoping to be something simpler. But look, I'm sure we have some material that we can use to make something there. So let's see what we can find. Okay, so here is the offending article, and here is the new valve that is going to replace it. And that is a piece of spring steel, and I've cut and shaped it to length. The only thing I have to still do is just drill a couple of holes in it, and that'll do nicely. So we'll put that all back together again and see how we get on. That's going to work absolutely perfectly. It's probably better than the original piece that was there. Anyway, let's go back over and get it put back together again. Okay, so I've got the exhaust reed valves reinstalled. That's obviously the new inlet reed valve, which is perfect as far as I'm concerned. Well, it's certainly good enough anyway. So what we can do now is we can pop this all back together again. So that goes back on. Unfortunately, as I said, I did damage the gasket there a little bit, but I don't think that's going to make a huge amount of difference, to tell you the truth. We can make sure it's properly overlapped there, and we'll get the head back on, give it a nice torque up, and what I'm going to do then is I'm going to actually take the head off the other side, and we're going to have a look there as well too. Just, there's no point in going to all this effort if we're not going to do the same on the other side. I suppose it's one of the great mysteries as to where the piece that broke off that valve actually went in the end, but I suppose we'll just never know, will we? There's probably in that cylinder there and is after eating the thing, so it's not beyond the realms of possibility. But anyway, look, we'll keep going. Well, here's the valve head of the other piston, and it's as well I did take it off because look in there. There's a lump gone out of the reed valve in there too. So we'll do the same trick again, I suppose. And there's also a nick out of that one, so I think I might just dress that one up because to be honest with you, there's only so much fluting around I can do with this. When I turn it over, actually, if you look at the shape of the reed valve on this side, it's rounded at the end, but that's really not going to make a difference on the other one, so we won't worry too much about it. Anyway, I'm going to go in and make up a new piece for that valve, and we'll get it repaired. This is probably not the tidiest work I've ever done, but I think that's going to work. So what we're going to do is we're going to screw that back on there. So that literally goes there, and then just this like retaining plate which goes on top of it. So we'll give that a little clean up, screw it all back together again, and we will try it out and see if it actually works. Just let's have a look inside the cylinder here. That's the second cylinder. And yeah, it's looking pretty. It's looking a lot better than the other one anyway. That's for sure. So let's give it a little wipe out. But yeah, so hopefully now this will work. I mean, it's a decent compressor when it's working. It's a 3-phase 400 volt job. So I mean, that's a sizable motor. So you can imagine how much air this thing can shift. I mean, there's the overview of the whole compressor. So that's what it is we're actually fixing. Okay, so both cylinder heads are back on, the air filters are back on, pipes are all reconnected, and we should be ready to give it a start. So I think we'll turn the isolator on and stand well back. Well, it sounds alright anyway, so let's see how well it builds up pressure compared to my it was before. That was the issue, it wasn't building any pressure. We were getting to about 10 psi and it was just dropping off. It sounds healthy enough though. Let's see if there's any air coming out the inlet. No, and no. That's a good sign. There was loads of air coming out the inlet there before, so that's obviously where the air that was supposed to be sending into the tank is going. So we'll leave it run for a bit, and we'll check our pressure gauge on the airline then and see how we're looking. Well, that's heading the right direction anyway. It wasn't going anywhere near 50 psi before. So yeah, I think we're on to a winner here. There's 50 psi now, so I think this trips out at 100 psi if I'm not mistaken. So as I said, we'll leave it run, we'll let it trip out, and if it does trip out, that means it's getting to the pressure it needs to. Okay, we're getting there. That's 100 psi. Can't ask for better than that, really. She's still going. My thinking on this compressor is it's got very little use on it. I mean, it might be about 10 years old, and if it has 10 hours of use on it, that's probably about it. So that leads me to believe that this compressor is a heap of shit. But I might be wrong. Maybe there's some external factor that caused it to fail. We're getting up at 120 psi now, so maybe it'll cut out at that. Or maybe it'll just keep going and the tank will explode. Let's have a look. Didn't say anything about pressure there anyway. Up at 140 psi now. That's some pressure, especially in a tank like that. Oh, Jesus, my heart. Well, it's working. I think we'll call that a success. Happy days.